Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you to our Bhagavad Gita class. As usual, I'll start with a recap. So the objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok, to understand the meaning of the shlok, and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. We are now in chapter 3, Karma Yoga, and is divided into 5 parts. The shlok number 1 to 2 is about Arjun's confusion. And from 3.3 to 9, Krishna explains to Arjun that for him, Nishkam Karma Yoga is better. And 10 to 16 is the ladder from Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. That's what Krishna explained. And this is what we have covered till now. And today we'll be starting the Nishkam Karma Yoga 17 to 35. We'll enter this particular section. Now, let's do a summary of what we have learned till now. So in chapter 3 starts with Arjun's confusion, whether he should do karma or work, or he should renunciate the work. And all this happened because Krishna in chapter 2 talked about one shlok he said, Durena Hayavaram Karma Buddhi Yoga. So Arjuna understood that he should actually, using his intelligence, he should, Havaram Karma is abominable activities. So he should actually leave all the abominable activities and by using his intelligence. And then he is wondering that ghastly war. Why Krishna is asking me to enter into this ghastly war, which is so much abominable compared to renunciation. And he is in a mood where he wants to go for renunciation, wants to go to forest, leave everything behind, right? So now it starts with the renunciation, and Krishna explains to him that you should not premature renunciate, because if you do that, what happens? It will actually, when you are not mentally you're not mentally ready for renunciation, and when you temporarily feel and you go for renunciation, what will happen? It will be like a Falgu Vairagya. What is Falgu Vairagya? It is like you will feel for some time you will do it, but then because you are not mature in that state, you will actually go back to your normal self, and because you have taken sannyas, you will do things in a hidden way, and because of that you will get more sinful reactions, and then you are called pretender. Such people are called pretender or mithyachari. And Krishna explains that a person it's much better to try to control his senses and do the prescribed duty without attachment is much superior than being a pretender and going for renunciation. And then Krishna also explains that no, better than renunciate, better than not only doing your prescribed duty but without attachment, but offer everything to Vishnu. That is the Nishkam Karma Yoga, that is the highest one. But then Krishna felt, looking at Arjun, that probably he has still not understood, and he has to take his level all the more down, and he started from ground zero, explaining to Arjun about the yoga ladder. And he explained how Krishna, how the creator, how the Shrishti, everything, all the living entities was brought in this material world because they wanted to have a desire to enjoy the world. But Krishna, being the seed-giving father, he cleverly, along with the people sending to the material world, he also sent yajna. He sent the yajna and the Vedas. These are the two things he sent along with the living entity. Now, and we also learned about how what we saw that whatever we need in our lives everything is provided by Devatas. It is provided by Devatas. For example, we talked about all the elements. Think about air that is needed for us. Think about water, air, water, food. Any food that we need, whether it's a fruit or any vegetable or any grains, is actually grown is grown. It is not manufactured. So it is provided by the God. Again, think about anything that is even manufactured in the factories. What happens? It is actually the raw materials comes again from the earth, right? So anything that we need in our life for our basic needs are all provided by Devata. And Krishna explained that we have to, whatever we are taking is from the Devatas, and it is our responsibility to give it back to them. And how do we give it back? By offer it back to them. And if we don't do it, then what are we? If we are not doing it, then we are thieves. He told the people who just keeps on enjoying things from by taking it, and but is not giving back to the God. What are they doing? They are actually thieves. And what will happen? They'll incur lot of sins by doing that. And then we also learned about the cycle of sacrifice. What did we learn about the cycle of sacrifice? That all living beings that are there, they subsist on food grains. They need food grains. Everyone needs food grains. And how does the food grains happen? The food grains happens because of rain. So without rains, we will not have proper crops. So rain is very, very important for having for the food grains, right? And when the rain, and how does the rain happens? Rains happens by the performance of the yajna. When we do the performance of the yajna, then rain happens. And why we should do yajna? Where is it written that all this happens? This is our prescribed duty. That is our prescribed duty, that we should do yajna. And because of yajna, rains happens, and because of rains, food grains happen. And where is this mentioned that this is your prescribed duty, that you should do yajna? It is coming from Vedas. It is coming from Vedas. And who has written Vedas? Vedas has come from the Supreme Lord, from the breathing of the Supreme Lord. Or the Vedas has come from the Supreme Lord. And that is why whatever we do, we should offer it to Krishna and then take the prasad. Then only that is the right way to live. And then Krishna explained, this is the cycle of sacrifice. And then Krishna explained, there's those who do not follow the cycle of sacrifice offered by Vedas, they certainly lead a futile life. That is what we learned in the last class. And we also learned that because now we don't know Vedas, we don't know how to do yajna, we are in Kalyug. So what is the Kalyug Dharma? Kalyug Dharma, because we don't know all these things, the Kalyug Dharma is to chant the holy name, chant the name and get connected to God. And so we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is what we had completed in our last class. So today we'll take the next section, which starts at 17, which is from 17 to 35. We'll see how many shlokas we can cover. It is Nishkam Karma Yoga. It says, Yastavatmriteva syada atmatittascha manavah atmanyeva cha santushtas tasya karya na vidyate. यस्त्वात्मारतिरेव स्याद् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टस्तस्य कार्य न विद्यते. So Krishna says, Yastva Atmaratir. The important word here is Atmatir. Who is Atmatir? Who takes pleasure in self. Atmatir is someone who is fully satisfied, who takes pleasure in self. Syad Atmatriptascha, someone who is fully satisfied. Atmatriptascha is fully satisfied. Atmatir is he takes pleasure in self. Atmanyeva Suntashta, he is self-realized and is satisfied in himself. And for them, they should not. There's no duty to be performed. So now let us read the English meaning. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. I'll repeat. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So Krishna says here, explains that someone who is self-realized, who is fully satisfied, then that person is actually, there's no duty for that person, because it's already achieved. Now Arjun here is thinking that Krishna is asking me to do prescribed duty, and that is how the last section finished. Arjun is thinking that Krishna asked me to do prescribed duty, but then I don't want Swarg. I am not looking for any material pleasure, and I am fully satisfied. Then why should I work? So that is a thought which is in which Arjun is thinking. So what happens? How does a self-realized person, how does it happen? How do we get self-realized? So for example, the person who is self-realized, he actually starts connecting to God. He starts chanting the holy name, and slowly what happens? The person starts getting purified. By chanting the pure name, we all who came in this material world are contemplated by desires. We have lot of desires, we have done a lot of sins. So we are very much contaminated. We are very much contaminated. So what we need to do? We need to purify ourselves. And how do we purify ourselves? When we chant the holy name, when we listen to he listens about God, when we perform devotional service, what happens? We start slowly getting purified. And what are we today? We are totally contaminated. We are in a process of purifying ourselves, right? So what happens? Krishna says in chapter 10, the 10th shloka of chapter 10, Krishna says, Tesham satatyuktanam bhajtam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayantite. So what happens when we start chanting the holy name, when we start hearing about God, then Krishna says that Tesham satatyuktanam, those people, satatam yuktanam is always thinking about connected to him, bhajtam priti purvakam, and uh, what do you call it? Praying to him with all love. What does he do? Dadami buddhi yogam tam. What does Krishna do? He gives them. What does he give them? He gives the intelligence. Buddhi yoga is intelligence or bhakti, and so that tam yen ma upayantite, so that they can come to me. They can come to me. And then he says, Tesham, and he also says in the 11th shlok, Tesham eva anukampartha aham jnanajam tamah nashayam atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. And he says to them who are always engaged in my service, what I do? I personally, what I do? Tama is darkness. I remove all their darkness. And then what I do? Jnana deepena bhasvatam. And I actually light, I light the deep of Gyan to them, so that they start understanding about me, and they can come to me. Right? So this is what about a self. That's how the self-realized person. And then in the next shlok, he says, नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः. Now here Krishna says, again, he's describing about a self-realized person. He's explaining about a self-realized person. So, tasya means they, the self-realized person. Neva tasya kritenartho. They have, the self-realized person has no purpose to fulfill. And there's no prescribed duty for them. Now, krite neha kashchina. And there's no reason why they should not work. No cha asya sarva bhuteshu Kashchidartham yapascha. He says, nor has he any reason not to perform any work, nor has he any need to depend upon any other living being. So he is explaining about the self-realized person. What do they do? Because they are already self-realized, so there's nothing left. No purpose for it. They do not have to discharge. It's not compulsory that they should discharge their prescribed duty. And also he says it is like contrast. He says also not there's any other reason why they should not perform their duty. So it's contrast, right? And then he says, Na cha asya sarvabhuteshu. Sarvabhuteshu is all the living entities. Sarvabhuteshu is all the living entities. Kaschid artha vyapashraya. And there's no need for them to depend upon any living being. So let's read the translation for this. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duty, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Yeah. So self-realized person is totally free. He has no there's no responsibility of doing the prescribed duty or not doing the prescribed duty, or neither dependent upon any living. Now let us see about how exactly the what exactly this shlok means. Yeah. So here, think about a child. Yeah. For a child, the parents are a permanent, are a shelter, right? When someone is a child, it's a parents who always take care of him, right? It's they are always, he depends upon the parents till the child grows up, right? But our parents always going to be there. Think about a husband and wife, a spouse. A wife is totally dependent upon husband, and a husband is dependent for all her needs. Similarly, the husband is dependent upon wife on all the needs. But is this is the husband always going to be there, or is wife always going to be there? Are they the permanent shelter for each other, right? Some people think that I have a lot of money and I don't need anything. Because of the money I have, I can control everything, and I can and that is my permanent shelter. Some people think, let me take care of my health, and I'll build such a body that I'll never fall ill, and everything will be taken care of for me. Some people believe on their beauty, some people believe on their strength. But is any of this thing is permanent? The only thing which is permanent is Krishna. The only thing which is permanent is the permanent shelter that we have is the Supreme Lord, the Krishna. And once we have a relation with Krishna, so then what happens? Then we don't fear. We don't fear. There's nothing to be fearful of, because we have built our relation with Krishna. So what happens? A self-realized man has already built the relation with God. He's already built the relation, and because of the relation that he has built, he's not fearful of anything, and he does not he knows that he is now fully dependent upon God, and he'll be taken care of, right? Like Krishna says in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 66th slok, Sarva Dharman Padya Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vaja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshashyami Masacha. He says, leave all varieties of dharma and come back and come to me, and I will take care of you, and I'll ensure all your sins are also is also excused, and come to me. No, no, don't worry, right? So Krishna is our permanent shelter, and a self-realized man has already understood it, and that is why he he does not depend upon any living. So now the 17th and 18th stroke, Krishna explains about the qualities of a self-realized person. Now Arjuna is thinking, I am already self-realized. Do I really need to work? And now Krishna answers the. So now let me tell you a story of from this. I remember the story of Satyabhama. So what happened was, once Satyabhama, who was Satyabhama? Satyabhama was one of the queens of Krishna. She was one of the queen of Krishna, and Krishna used to love her a lot. It was in Dwarika, and Satyabhama was thinking one day. She asked Krishna, Krishna, what did I do? What did I do in my life that I could become your wife? And then Krishna told her the past life of Satyabhama. He said that to Satyabhama, she was actually her father was actually Dev Sharma, and he was in Haridwar, and he has a disciple called Chandra, and he was a great devotee of Krishna, and he used to both Dev Sharma and Chandra. They used to go to they were living a very saintly life, spending their life thinking about God, doing the prayers and everything that is there in the life of a devotee, and that is how they used to spend their life. Now Dev Sharma had a daughter called Gunavati. She had a daughter called Gunavati. Now one day when Dev Sharma and Chandra, they went to the forest to get the woods for cooking and all. What at that point of time there was some wild animals. They actually ate up both Dev Sharma as well as Chandra. Now Gunavati was left alone, and when Gunavati was left alone, she when she came to know, she was heartbroken. She was alone. There was no one for her, and she still she performed all her rituals. Gunavati performed all the rituals for his father, as well as performed all the rituals, and then what she started doing is she dedicated her life to worship Krishna. She dedicated her life to worship Vishnu, and then she started doing all the doing all the vratas that is needed, Ekadashi vrata, and especially the Kartik month. During the month of Kartik, she did all the austerities that is needed for the Kartik month. She did deep dan every day. She actually took bath early in the morning. She did the vrat on all the Kartik days, and she did all the vratas, and because of which she gained so many pious things that finally when she became old, she was going to take bath in the Ganga, and then it was Vishnu Dut who came and took her off, and this Gunavati actually in her next life came as became Satyabhama, and Dev Sharma became Satyajit, who and her husband Chandra, he became Akrut, right? So when someone has dedicated their life in worship of Krishna, Vishnu, then you don't have to worry. It is you are a self-realized. You don't have any fear because Krishna will take care of you. Now let's go to the Shlok number 19. Now Krishna says, तस्माद् तस्माद् सक्त सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरं कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः तस्माद् तस्माद् असक्त सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः. So Krishna says, tasmad, therefore, asakt is without attachment. Satatam is always. Karya karma. Do the activities. That's why what you do, whatever activities you do, we should continue without any attachment to the fruit of activities. We should continue to do our work. Asakto hya charan karma parmapnoti purusha. And when we do such things, what happens? When we act in such a manner, what happens? Without working, what happens? We attain Paramapnoti Purusha. We obtain the Param. We obtain the Param. We obtain the Supreme God. That's what Krishna explains here. So let us now read second time. Let's read the meaning now. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. So, in Gita, what Krishna says to Arjun, Arjun, you become my Nimit Matra. Nimit Matra is just be the instrument in my hand. And what does a self-realized person do? Self-realized person is totally asakt, is totally unattached, and becomes the instrument in the hands of Krishna. It becomes the instrument in the hands of Krishna. So that's what Krishna explains to Arjun, that be the Nimit Matra. Don't get attached and surrender in such a way that you become the instrument for the fight. Yeah. Now, there are some examples that is there, which is when Krishna says Arjun to be Nimit Mat. Also, when you become a tool in the hand of Krishna, then what happens? Whatever activity you're doing, dedicated or in the direction of Krishna, you don't get sin. You don't get sin because that is the words of God. Because of Krishna, you are doing. So it doesn't follow the normal path. Now, if we remember in Mahabharata, what happened when the youth was happening, when the war was happening, Yudhishthir, um, we had basically Dronacharya had to be killed. At that point of time, what Krishna told Yudhishthir, Dronacharya knew there was a Dronacharya knew that only Yudhishthir will not lie to him. And at that point of time, there was a elephant called Ashwathama, and Dronacharya's son's name was also Ashwathama. And the fight was going on, and Dronacharya was told that Ashwathama has been killed. Now, when Dronacharya heard that Ashwathama has been killed, he never knew which Ashwathama had been killed. Is it the elephant Ashwathama or my son Ashwathama has been killed? So what he did, he went to Yudhishthir. And when he went to Yudhishthir, because he knew Yudhishthir is Dharmraj and he will never tell lie. But Krishna told him that you cannot tell the truth. You have to somehow say something. And what Yudhishthir did? Yudhishthir said that yes, Yudhishthir agreed, and he said yes, Ashwathama has been killed. And very slowly he said, it's an elephant. So what happened? What happened? Dronacharya, as soon as he heard from Yudhishthir that Ashwathama has been killed, immediately Dronacharya went on meditation. And when he went on meditation, Drishtadum, he killed Dronacharya. Right? Now, Yudhishthir did this from all perspective. This is something which is it is dharma, because it was done under direction of Krishna, because Krishna asked Yudhishthir to do that, right? So when we are doing anything, if we become Nimit Mati, when we dedicate, when actually a selfless person dedicate the life to Krishna and works in the direction of Krishna, and when we are doing the working in the direction of Krishna, whatever we are doing is all dharma. It is always adharma. It is always dharma. Even in this case, Yudhishthir, this was also dharma, because he had done under the guidance of Krishna. Now we go to the next slok. कर्मणेव हि संसिद्धिम् अस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसंग्रहम् एवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. कर्मण्यैव हि संसिद्धिम् अस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसंग्रहम् वेपापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. Now Arjun asks Krishna, fine, you say that a self-realized person still has to do prescribed duty. Can you give me some example? I need to understand this more. And now Krishna says that even the self-realized, it's not that, he don't have to do the duty. He has to continue doing his prescribed duty. And now he gives an example of Janak. He gives the example of Janak. He says, Karmanaiva hi sansiddhim astita janakadayah loka sangramayapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. He talks about the king Janak, and the Janak, he talks about him, that he achieved perfection. How did he achieve perfection? By the performance of prescribed duty. And lok sangramayapi sampashyan kartati. Therefore, so basically, just for lok sangram means for educating the people, you have to continue doing your prescribed duty even if you are self-realized. So what Krishna tells Arjun now is, yes, a self-realized person is not bound to perform prescribed duties. But what he says is, although you are self-realized, but still you have to perform your prescribed duty. Why? Because that is what he explains in this shlok. And he gives an example of Janak. Now, who was Raja Janak? Raja Janak was the father of Sita, and Ram was actually his son-in-law. So we can imagine what was the state of Janak. He was a highly evolved, he was a highly self-realized person, right? But still, he was a king, and just to show the way, to show the people in general, because he's a king, he has to do his prescribed duty so that Whatever the leaders will do, the others will follow. So the king is performing his duty and he's doing all that has to be done so that his janta can see how things should be done and can follow. So, yeah. So therefore, let's look at the meaning of that. Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duty. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Even if you are a self-realized person, it doesn't mean that you are going to leave your prescribed duty. You have to perform your prescribed duty, is what Krishna explains. And that is why you should do it, because the people who look up at you are going to follow you. So just to sake of educating the people in general, you need to perform your work the way it should be done. Now think about Krishna and Arjun in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Do you think Krishna had to really come down to fight and kill people in Kurukshetra war? No. Krishna could have sent his energies, and by that he could have eliminated everyone. But why Krishna is fighting there along with Arjun in the Kurukshetra war is again to teach people that you have to fight, you have to become an example that you have to fight. And why you have to fight? It's a violence, it is a adharma that is happening, and you cannot, even if someone is doing adharma, you cannot just sit and let it be. You have to fight. Sometimes violence is necessary to save dharma, and that is what the Kurukshetra war was. And Krishna himself came down along with Arjun. He fought, so he lived that, right? So now he is explaining that too. Now let's go to the stroke number 21. Here Krishna says, Yad yad acharite shreshtas tat tad devotaro janah sa yad pramanam kurute lokastad anuvardate. Yad yad acharite shreshtas tat tad devetaro janah sa yad pramanam kurute lokastad anuvardate. Now here, the yad yad acharate shreshta. Shreshta is great people. Shreshta is great people. And whatever yad yad, whatever they perform, whatever they do, that devataro jana, the common man. Jana is the normal man, the common man will follow. So whatever the Shresht man will do, whatever the way the leaders will do, accordingly the people in general will follow. Sa yat pramana kurte. And whatever yat praman, whatever standards he will set, lokas tad anuvardate. The world will tad anuvardate, will follow that. Now let's read the meaning. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Now here Krishna continues explaining to Arjun. When he asks about the examples, he talks about Janak and he says that it is very, very important for leaders to follow the right way, because whatever the leaders will follow, whatever path they will show, the others, they are going to follow that. Yeah. So it's very, very important. It's a very, very great responsibility on leaders as what they are, how they are behaving. Yeah. And now he's telling to Arjun. Arjun himself is a leader. He's the greatest warrior, and everyone is looking at him, right? Everyone is looking at him. Yeah. Now imagine in that Kurukshetra war, standing there, if he decides that I will not fight anymore and I am going to, because of of all the four reasons we have talked about in chapter 1, if he decides that we are not going to follow and he leaves everything the way he wanted and he goes to forest, what is the example he's going to set for the generations to come and people who look up at him, right? So Krishna says that Arjun, whatever you are going to do, you are going to set an example and you are the greatest warrior. So you cannot, there's no chance, you have to do your duty. You are a Kshatriya. You cannot run away. You are not mature enough for renunciation. You cannot take up sannyas at this point of time. Right? It is mithyachari, it is a pretender. You will become a pretender, and everyone will look down at you. And whatever you will do, the common man, the low, everyone's going to follow you like that. So this is not right. Yeah. And then when we look at our leadership role, so it's very, very important for the leaders to show the right, to live in the right way and show the right direction. The question is, who is a leader? Yeah. Now, if you really look at, we have leaders, we have leaders in almost everyone. Now, let's look at that. How do we define a leader? So, leader we can define is someone whose activity influences a group of people, right? A leader is someone, whatever that person does, that gets, some people get influenced by that. He becomes a small leader. Yeah. Similarly, if a person is influencing a lot of other people, that is a big leader. Yeah. So, but a leader in the general is someone who influences a group of people. Now think about it. Parents. Parents they are the leaders for the family. Everyone look up at parents. For the kids, they are the devta. They look at whatever the parents are doing, they always believe that they are right. Whatever they are doing is always right. Right? What does a parent do? Parent says, child, don't do this. Look at our scenario around us, what's happening today in this world. We expect the children will not use mobile phone, right? The parents don't like it. But when you look at the parents, most of the time, they themselves are using mobile phone. So you are expecting that the kids not to do it, but you yourself are doing the same thing, isn't it? So what is very, very important thing is that whoever in the leadership role, parents have a very, very important responsibility. Teachers have a very, very important responsibility, because everyone looks up at them to learn, right? So what is the right way to lead? And the right way to lead is to follow our Shastra. To follow our Shastra is very, very important. The parents, the teachers, they should be well versed with our scriptures. Yeah, it is very, very important that they should know what really happens today in our today's world. Everyone, normally people, they define their own level of goodness, right and wrong. And they think this is right, and if this thing happens, then it is good or bad. Now, is whatever right and wrong they're talking about, is this authenticated by scriptures? What is authority? Who defines what is right and wrong? Maybe let's take an example. Maybe, someone may say, oh, okay, I enjoy drinking. It's fun. What's wrong in drinking? Drinking is so nice. I enjoy. Who says drinking is wrong? Maybe when you go to a parent or grandparents, they'll say, oh, how come you're drinking? It's wrong. Yeah. But who defines that this is right, this is wrong? Yeah. So the authority for anything is our scriptures. We have to look at the scriptures and say what is right, what is wrong. And that is why it's very, very important to define. It cannot be based on people, but based on what is written in our scriptures. And hence, the parents, the teachers, the leaders, they should be very well with Shastra so that they can give the right direction to people around, right? Now, who is today's leader? Now, today's leader, whom, if you look at the mass, what happens? It's a film star. People look at someone, a film star, and they start following how the person is dressing in the movies. Everyone wants to dress like that, and that has become the standard of the society today, right? Yeah. And what do they know? What these film stars or how can do they really know any scripture or anything? Yeah. So, but that is what is happening in Kali Yuga. We make them, we make the TV stars, we make such people as our heroes today. Yeah. And what is happening if we are going to follow such blind people? Everyone, the society, it will actually go into hell. It will fall down. Will fall down, and that's what is happening in Kali Yuga. Why? Because we are actually ignoring our shastras. We are not actually looking at the real leaders who can actually guide us in a right direction. We are not really encouraging and looking at them, but we so it's very, very important. If we want a good society, if we want the people to have a nice life, a happy life, it's very, very important that the leaders of the society are very well versed with shastra, and whatever we do is as per shastra, right? Okay, so now we move to the next shlok. न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यम दिशु लोकेषु किंचन न अनवाप्तम अवाप्त्यम वर्त एव च कर्मणि न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यम दिशु लोकेषु किंचन न अनवाप्तम अवाप्तव्यम वर्त एव च कर्मणि. Now Krishna, after explaining example of Janak and the other leaders, he now tells about himself. He says, "O Parth, look at me. No me, not me. Parth, O Parth, look at Kartavyam. I don't have I don't have to do any Kartavyam, prescribed duty. Tishu Logeshu Kinjanam. And not only this, in the all three planets, nothing has been prescribed for me. Yeah. And na anvaptam avaptyam varta evcha karmani. Nor I am in need of anything, and nor I want to obtain anything. But what I'm doing, even though work evcha karmani, but even though I'm still working, I do my prescribed duty. Yeah. So Krishna says, now Krishna gives to Arjun his own example that he is not bound to do anything. But still, in this entire three planetary system, nothing binds me. But still, neither I need anything, neither I want anything. But still, what I do, I still do my karma. I am still doing it. I still do my karma. I do my prescribed duties. So let us read the English translation. O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. Yeah, again, O son of Pritha, O Arjuna, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So Krishna talks to Arjuna and says, he first gives examples of Janak and then he talks about himself. Now, in the 10th chapter of the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhu, mattah sarvam pravartate, iti matva bhajante ma, buddha bhava samarita. It means, Aham sarvasya prabhu. Everything emanates from me. Everything emanates from me. Anything that you see, whether it is spiritual, material, living, everything comes out from me. Mattah sarvam pravartate. And I control and everything comes from me. Iti matva bhajante mam. And the wise, the Buddha, the wise, what they do, they understand this and then they pray to me. And they do it with bhava samarita. They offer devotional service to me with love. Yeah, those who are intelligent, those who are wise, they understand this thing and offer this devotional service to me. That's what Krishna says. So, who is Krishna? Krishna does not need anything. Everything that we see, everything that exists is because of Krishna. But what he says, even though it is there, but still I am doing my prescribed duty. Who is actually supposed to do the duty? Who is embodied, like us, the bodied soul. We are the one who needs to do the duty. But still, even though Krishna has no need to do any duty, but still he explains in this shlok that I do my prescribed duty. And in the next shlok, he explains why does he do so. And let's go to the next shlok. He says, Yadi yahma न वर्तेयं जादु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः यदि अहं न वर्तेयं जादु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः. He says, why do I do the prescribed duty? Because यदि न, in case, even if, or if I never them, if I don't engage in my doing the karmanya and in doing my prescribed duty, O Parth, then what will happen? Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasya. Everyone will follow my path. Everyone will follow my path. And if I'm not doing anything, whatever I do, people will follow that, right? So just to ensure, just to be the right leader, what he does, he does all the duties so that everyone has the example and can follow him, right? So for if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duty, O Partha, certainly all men will follow my path. For if I ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Now, Krishna says that he follows all the rules and regulations. Imagine, we see every day the sun rises, the sun sets, all the planetary systems, they revolve around sun. Everything is happening perfectly fine. It is all due to the energies of Krishna. That's how it happens, right? Now, if Krishna is not doing it, what will happen? Things will stop. It will not happen. Imagine if sun doesn't rises, or if the planetary system, if the planets are not moving properly, what will happen? There'll be a pralay, right? So he does all the activities so that everyone does the follow his pathway. So in Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, it has talked about how Krishna actually lived his life. We all know Krishna had 16,108 wives, and Krishna, once Naraji wanted to see how does Krishna actually live with 16,108 wives, right? So when he saw that in the morning Krishna was actually there in each of the houses, and he was performing the prescribed duty in as a family member, the way it should be done in each of the family, in each of the houses, with each of the queens, 16,108 queens. He was doing that, right? He used to get up in the morning, he used to do his dhyan, he used to do donation, he used to go to his kingdom, and he used to do, and Narad could see that he was he could he could actually make parts, and Krishna was actually somewhere he was taking care of the son, somewhere he was helping the wife, somewhere he was doing the doing some other daily chorus, and he was everywhere. And if he would not have done, then others would have followed. Now, there could be questions like, if it is so, everyone follows, then why did, how can we justify things like Ras Leela? How can we justify things about some things which Krishna did in during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the one thing I talked about Yudhishthira and Ashwatthama, right? So how do you justify that, or how do you say that? Is that right? So let me talk about a story of Bhishpitama. Yeah. So once what happened, Duryodhan, it was, we all know that in the 18 days of war that happened in Mahabharata, for the first 10 days, it was Bhishpitama who was leading the Kaurava side. Now, ninth day, Duryodhan was very upset. He approached Bhishma and he started blaming him that intentionally you are actually not killing you're not killing the Pandavas because you are favoring them, and that is why they are alive till now. And Bhishpitama promised Duryodhan that tomorrow I will ensure that either Arjun is not there, either Arjun is killed, or Krishna breaks his vow. He breaks his promise. That's what Bhishpitama committed to Duryodhan. Now Duryodhan was very happy. He went. Now next day, what happened when the fight started, when the war started? Bhishpitama was in his full josh, and he started, attacking Arjuna so badly that his armor you know, it got torn, and his gandi, the sting got, and Arjun was no match to Bhishma. Arjun was no match. Was not able to do. It was not able to control at all. There was no match between Arjun and Bhishma. And Krishna, looking at it, both, he knew that Arjun was on the dharma side and Bhishma is on the dharma side, right? He was not supporting Kauravas. Now, when all this happened, what Krishna did? Krishna Krishna took up the wheel to kill Bhishma. He ran towards Bhishma. And at that point of time, what did Bhishma do? He just closed his hand, palm, and just left everything and waited, right? So the point here the point that is there is, why did now we all know the story that Krishna, when the Mahabharata Yuddha started, Krishna had taken a vow that he will not take any weapon. He will not actually touch the weapon, right? He will not touch the weapon. But here what Krishna did, he did not hesitate to take the wheel and run towards Bhishma. Why did he do so? He broke his own vow to go towards Bhishma. He did so because he wanted to save for Krishna. It was more important to keep the promise of his devotee. Bhishma was a great devotee of Krishna. Bhishma was a great devotee of Krishna. And it was very important for Krishna to ensure his devotee is not humiliated. No one can point fingers to his devotee that, look, Bhishma said either he will kill Arjun or he will ensure that Krishna takes up the weapon, right? So if Krishna would not have he broke his own vow. Krishna broke his own vow to ensure that Bhishma vow can be kept intact, because Krishna is a Bhaktvatsala. And then normally people talk about Ras Leela. That is a very common example that people talk about, because people have not read Shastra. They are not aware about who Krishna is, right? So in Ras Leela, all the gopi and the gop and gopis of Ras Leela, all the gopis with whom Krishna is dancing, they are the great devotees who had been waiting from the era of Ram. When Ram went to the forest, and there were all the rishis sitting there praying to Ram, and they asked Ram, please accept me. He said, I cannot in this avatar, but I'll come again and accept you. I'll come again and accept you. And similarly, Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam, all the devotees who are praying to Krishna to get Krishna, it is those devotees who are lucky enough to become gopis. And Krishna keeps his promise irrespective, because that is his biggest dharma, to serve his devotees. And for that, it doesn't matter for him how people will see. So the thing is, so basically, Krishna says, for if I ever fail to engage in carefully perform prescribed duties, O Parth, certainly all men would follow my path. If Krishna would not have protected his devotees, or would not have taken his devotees, people would have said, devotees would have not have faith in Krishna. So for Krishna, it is bhakt, he's a bhaktvatsala. The whatever devotees, what is more important than anything. And that's what he showed by his actions. So now we move to the next shlok, which is 3.24. Utsideyurime loka na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha karta syam uphanyamimam praja. Utsideyurime loka na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha karta syam uphanyam imam praja. Krishna says, if I did not perform prescribed duties, all these world would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So Krishna says, I do all the prescribed duty. Because of me, whatever you are seeing, whatever is happening in the Prakriti, whatever you see is happening is because of me. And if I don't do, then what will happen? It will be all the words will be put to ruination. It will get ruined. And I will be the cause for the unwanted population. And then the last shloka for today is Sakta karmanya vidwanso yatha kurvanti bharata Kurvad Vidvans Tatha Sakta Chikirshulok Sangraham Sakta Karmanya Vidvanso Yatha Kurvanti Bharata Kurvad Vidvans Tatha Sakta Chikirshulok Sangraham. As the ignorant, now here he talks about two people, with Avidwan and Vidwan. Sakta Karmanya Vidwanso. The one who is a Vidwan, the ignorant, what does they do? The one who is a Vidwan, who is ignorant, they do the karma by attachment, by sakta, by karma. And that's how they do the kurvanti, yatha kurvanti, they do that. O Bharat, O Parth, and what does how does a learned person who is a Vidwan, or how does he work? What he do is he does all the work asat by without attachment. And why does he do so? This is for the sake of leading people on the right path. So let's repeat the English meaning. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people to the right path. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people to the right path. Yeah. So with this, so Krishna says that whether you are realized, self-realized, whatever state of maturity you are in, you have to do your prescribed duty. And that is the message he gives to Arjun, that you cannot, you claim that you are self-realized, but whatever, you have to do your prescribed duty, you have to get up, and oh Arjun, you have to fight. And he explains to him by giving examples of Janak, by giving his own example, and he says, and he convinces him that he should leave everything, he should do, and he should get up and work for Krishna and fight. With this, we'll close today's class. Hare Krishna. Let's chant the mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.